at Talk TV and at the James Max. Corey in Derbyshire, hang on a second. We'll come to you very shortly. Meanwhile, it's back to Dr. Roger Givold. You're about to have some froth. Roger, whenever anybody, and maybe this is me just bulking, but whenever anybody mentions the Resolution Foundation, they talk about them as if they are a fact-producing organisation. Look, they produce some really interesting research. They do some very good work. But one has to understand where this stuff comes from and the history of the people who run these organisations, because many of these think tanks are politically motivated. And in my view, the Resolution Foundation is just another one of them that is. And very often it's reported as fact rather than opinion.
Yes, I mean, you're absolutely right. I think that all of them are pretty much politically motivated because they rely on generally private funding, and that comes from individuals who have their own political agendas.
Sure.
But nevertheless, I mean, with both of these groups that I'm about to refer to, James, one needs to check their credentials pretty carefully. But if you look at the numbers, there's not much that politics or central left or center right or up the wazoo or anything can do to change numbers very much. What interests me is that they are saying that wealthier people are going to receive £4,700 in benefits, if you will, from Liz's new plan, and poorer people are going to receive only £2,200 worth of benefits. Well, I mean, what she's done is to tax cut, VAT, reduce national insurance, green energy, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but hang on, but you've got to, I'm sorry, you can't just look at it in number terms, because the person who's getting 4,700 is probably earning a lot more money, paying a lot more tax, is going to therefore drive the economy. What she's saying is that if we want to get our economy moving, you can't just do a handout to the very poorest in society. You've got to make sure that the poorest in society aren't either taxed or expensed out of existence and into poverty, and you've also got to allow people who are wealthier to have more money in their pocket so that they can spend it in shops, in restaurants, in places around the world, around the country, because otherwise our economy the wheels will fall off.
Well, no, nobody's going to argue with that, but that's actually, with respect, not my point. I mean, the point is that by cutting tax for people who don't earn very much and reducing VAT for people who not only don't spend very much, but are trying to choose between eating and heating, and that is really millions of people these days, James, I don't think it's very effective. Now, everybody admits, and I agree, that targeting benefits to poorer people, the administrative costs would eat up a huge amount of what's being doled out, so it's not worth doing. So, of course, the rich are going to get richer by this. But what I'm saying,
they're not going to get richer. They're just going to get less poor. Anyway, we must move on to our final point. I know you'd like to froth at me all day, but you can't, because I've got people waiting on the line, Roger. What's the last point that you'd like to make for us this morning? I mean, do you want to talk about every cloud having a silver lining, or are we done?
Well, yeah, I mean, again, it's a slightly controversial point, but
oh, go on then.
Climate change and net carbon and the rest seem to have all gone to the back of the agenda, or further down the agenda, because cost of living crisis has replaced them as the primary thing.
Yeah, good.
However, there is some good news. There is some silver lining in the cloud, in that the University of Sussex Business School has done a study which has determined that many British companies, in bringing their supply chains back to the UK from Europe, were able to green them far more than they would have been done in their previous state, being spread over a large
as I have been saying
area.
For a long time, Roger, can we stop with the greenwash? Can we stop with the nonsense? Can we just be, if we bought local, if we bought seasonal, if we reduced waste, it would do more for the environment and more for where we live and more for all the other things than all of the other stuff that people want us to do. We must leave it there, but always good fun to chat to you. That's Dr. Roger Givold. He's CEO of Fair Money, personal finance and credit expert. Much enjoyed our banter this morning, and more frothing next week from Roger.